10th month 5th day. All these festivals surrounding the corpse flower are bringing back some rather unpleasant memories. I cannot imagine there is really only one corpse flower in the entire monster world, but if it is truly the case that there is only one, I shall look at this party as an opportunity to take care of some long ago unfinished business. Okay, sounds like Cleo is getting really serious. Oh, I think I'm gonna read her Cleo's actual trauma. That's why she's such a mean girl. I don't remember very much about the night that it all happened. I do remember being taken from a dead sleep by one of my attendants. Princess, wake up, we have to leave the palace. Normally, I would have rebuked her for such a rude awakening, but there was an urgency to her request that made me follow without question. She led me through a secret door that even I didn't know existed. Behind the door was a short passage that ended in a set of winding steps leading down into the darkness. I touched the side of the wall for balance, and I started down without thinking. I had not yet learned to fear the dark, which would come much later. At the bottom of the stairs, a sobbing Nephra, who was holding her prized corpse flower, and my father was waiting. But by the grim look on my father's face, I could tell he was in no mood to answer my questions. Father's chief advisor soon met us with a torch, and we were led even further underground and away from the city. Wait, where was my mother? I stopped and asked. No, demanded. I know where she was and what was happening. Father hesitated, and for a brief moment placed a hand on the wall to steady himself. Without turning, he said, your uncle has decided he would make a better ruler than I and has convinced many to follow him. They stormed the palace gates and broke through them. Your mother was in her garden on the other side of the palace. We were cut off and I couldn't reach her. The advisor gently broke down. Sire, her concern was for you and the princesses. It was her desire that you see to them first. The queen is undoubtedly already safe in her own secret room, as should you all be from that point on. It was a blur of running, hiding, and passing through the dark, silent places. When we finally stopped, it was in front of a blank wall with no visible cracks. Father stepped forward and, placing his hand on the wall, whispered a word in a language I did not know. Faint cracks appeared in the shape of a door that pivoted in on a center hinge, and we stepped through. It appeared to be a luxurious version of the royal living quarters, except for the 4 stone beds in the middle. Each was lined with faintly glowing wrappings. Father was reluctant at first, but his advisor assured him that the magical wrappings would protect us from all harm. So my father agreed. My father was the first to be wrapped, then Nephra, and finally me. As the wrappings were applied, I could feel a slight tingle as the magic swirled around us. Then I became very sleepy. The last thing I remember seeing was the torchlight disappearing as the door closed, and the last thing I heard was the sound of laughter. I heard my father's voice calling out to us, Nephra, Cleo, it's so dark, I cannot tell up from down, left from right. It's like a weight on my chest, like the air being sucked out of me. I sat out and started to panic as I tried to catch my breath. I feel a hand grab my shoulder. I screamed and tried to run. Cleo, stop, my father commanded. It's me. The voice of my father temporarily stops in my panic, and I grab hold of him and hold on, afraid he's going to vanish and I will forever be alone in its darkness. Finally, he says, I'm going to try to find a lamp, but I promise I will be right back. I can hear him slowly moving around the room and occasionally tripping over things in the inky darkness. Nephra starts humming a song our mother taught us to sing when we are afraid. I finally heard my father's grunt of satisfaction from somewhere in the room, and then there was a spark. It is just a tiny spark, but in the darkness, it is as bright as a lightning bolt from the heavens. There is another and another until a lamp blazes up, throwing up what seems to be the light of 1,000 suns. I close my eyes against the glare and then slowly open them. I'm in shock to see the dust of ages covering us and everything else, but it is what I do not see that brings tears to my eye. The fourth stone bed is as empty now as it was when we all fell asleep. Where is she? And will I ever see her again? Our new home. Father said he built these rooms for us to escape to in case some disaster happened. They weren't meant to be a permanent dwelling, but at least this one was fully stocked with dry food and water. Although strangely enough, none of us ever really hungry. Well, I assume mummies don't need to eat. There's also a library of scrolls to read and couches with silks and pillows that are much more comfortable than the stone beds we woke up on. Nevera keeps saying that the servants will surely come and let us out. I do not believe that is going to happen, and I do not believe Father believes it either. He's been trying to open the door from this side, but it seems to be stuck. He has also been reading through all the scrolls in the library, hoping to find an answer as to why we have to sleep so long without aging. Except for that horrible fear that the darkness will swallow me every time Father turns up the lamp. The times have been the hardest on Nevera. She spent most of her days or nights, who knows, down here, talking to her corpse flower. Any other plant would have long ago withered from lack of sunlight, but this one looks much the same as it did when the door was shut. Nevera received it as a gift from a delegation that claimed to have journeyed from a strange and far-off country. They told her that it was their most rare treasure and fit only for the future queen. Nevera is entranced by its fragrance, but to me the scent is not pleasant. And I know this is odd to say, but I think the plant knows I feel this way, and it does not like me. If it comes too close, it puts off a scent that it is so loathsome, even Nevera can smell it. I also get the impression that it is somehow listening. I think perhaps I have been underground for far too long. A window of opportunity. 3 things happened today that turned our dark little world upside down. The first was an earthquake. It struck during the dark hours and it seems to last an eternity. Everyone called out to each other, but it was mostly our nerves that were shaken. The only casualty was the lamp. It fell off the table where Father kept it and shattered it into 1,000 pieces. I started to panic again when the second thing happened. There was another jolt, and the ceiling came loose and crashing to the floor. Sunlight flooded in through the opening, like water through a hole in a dam. We all rushed forward and huddled together. In the light, I think we stood there, hugging and crying until the sun went down. Then we jolted out of our celebration by a voice behind us. Amanita Nightshade hates to break up your little family gathering, but she needs you to stop what you're doing and be heard for a moment. We turned to see a gorgeous girl standing in the pot once occupied by the corpse flower. Amanita hopes she hasn't bloomed at a bad time, but after 1,300 years in this room, she needed to burst forth. 1,300 years! 1,300 years! Oh my wow! Falls a crown. Aminita likes to talk and talk and talk. I think she could seriously talk the nose off a sphinx. Her favorite subject is herself and how her beauty has been celebrated through the ages. Aminita has many statues and monuments dedicated to her. She is surprised that you are unaware of that. But in between her praises of herself, she accidentally spewed relevant information, like the fact she heard my father's chief advisor conspiring against him with my uncle, and so she used the fragrance of her flower to cause Nevera to bring her along when she escaped. And Aminita doesn't want to be thrown out like a common houseplant when the new regime redecorated. She also said that magic wraps were supposed to make us sleep forever, but something must have gone wrong because we woke up. She also warned us not to remove the wraps because it might cause us to revert to our true age. Amanita wants you to know that there's other monsters like you. She has seen them, and now you will have to move into the world because normies will fear and misunderstand you. It is so much to take in, I can hardly believe it. Hope. Father has stacked a couple of those stone beds on top of each other. Apparently, becoming a monster greatly increases one's strength and has been trying to widen the hole in the ceiling. But it is hard work, and progress is slow. In the meantime, Amanita has been giving us a detailed account of her own life, as she calls it. Honestly, Amanita is like a bigger diva than actual Cleo herself. They bring like Amanita in like the future reboots of the Monster High series. I think it'll be funny if she's like also rivals with Cleo again and she's like the new popular girl. Amanita can go dormant and revert back to the plant form anytime she wants, but it takes 1,300 years to wake up when she chooses to do so. Today we heard a caravan in the distance. We shouted and shouted, but they could not hear us. The hole in the roof was too small for Father, Never, or even myself to call for, but Amanita turned out to be slight enough to fit. She said she would return with help to free us. One of the benefits of having a new window to the outside world is that now we can record the passing of days. 38 of those days have been passed, and Amanita has not returned. I do not believe she ever intended to, but we will get out, and I will never forget. Oh, she's holding a grudge. 10th month, 7th day. Jennifer has created a dress fit not just for a princess, but for a queen. I cannot wait to wear it and see if anyone expected crashes the party.